grief and trauma unfold in some pretty psychotic ways in one of the best films so far this year. Let's talk about the horror movie Bring Her Back. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Bring Her Back. This is in theaters now as of this recording, and it is brought to us from the Philippou brothers, who gave us the 2023 hit Talk to Me, which I thought was great. I gave it an A-. I think this one is even better. So we'll talk about all of this here in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you back to Dave Reviews It. If you are a subscriber already, thank you so much for that. Love it when you guys return to check out my stuff. But if you're not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell so you get all my video drop alerts. And I do try to post just about every day, so always a lot going on here on Dan Reviews It. And of course, liking this video, commenting, that helps as well. All right, so this was directed by the Philippou brothers, Danny and Michael. And they originally came about with these YouTube comedy horror videos. They were known as Rocka Rocka at the time. And I guess whatever, they collaborated with A24 on their movie Talk to Me, which was their directorial debut. And then this is the follow-up. So Danny co-wrote this with one of their collaborators, Bill Hinzman, and then they directed it together as the Philippou brothers. And so we follow here two step-siblings placed in the middle of a very horrific foster situation. And I don't even want to really go into many more details than that, because I think this movie is best if you go in not really knowing what to expect, as I did not. I will tell you it's very intense. I had to look away a few times. Even my buddy I went with, who was like a horror fanatic, had to look away at least once. So there's some very, very intense scenes here. I will start you off there. But we have Billy Barat as Andy, who is 17 years old, and he's got some past trauma of his own, some past guilt, and it's him and his stepsister, Sora Wong, who plays Piper. She is legally blind. She can see, sort of shapes and shadows, but not much else. Visually impaired, to say the least, but legally blind. And the two of them have a new bout of trauma, as their dad is dead from a fall in the shower, and so they are placed into foster care. And the foster mother, Sally Hawkins, plays her, has a lot going on in her house. Right away, there's like a creepy vibe, and we as the audience can tell, okay, well, we know it's a horror movie, first of all, but second of all, something's really, really off here. And we also have Jonah Wren Phillips as Oliver, who is another foster son of the Sally Hawkins character, Laura. And the only other major character here is the social worker, Sally Ann Upton. So Billy Barat, I'd like seen in a couple things. I couldn't quite pick him out, but he was in the second My Spy movie, which I did review, but it was bad. But he also was one of the kids in the movie Crater, which was on Disney Plus for a little bit, but then they took it off. And then Sora Wong, the sister, is like a first-timer. Like, she's never, I think, professionally acted before, certainly not in a film. But her mother answered this casting call for visually impaired children, and she won the thing. And oh my God, I had to look her up, because at the end of the movie, I was like, okay, the kid actors here, all of them are great. The kid that plays Oliver too, Jonah Wren Phillips, didn't know really him from anything either, but all three of the kids are just excellent. And so I had to look up, okay, is this girl really blind? Because she certainly, seemed like it. But boy, to know that this is her first major role is insane. Like, she's so good in this movie. And Billy Barat is very good in this movie, and Jonah, the kid that plays Oliver, like, they're all great. So we can start there with the acting. And Sally Hawkins, of course, is always good. It kind of tickled me a little bit, because she was not in the third Paddington movie that came out earlier this year, Paddington and Peru. And I wondered, as I was watching this, I wonder if, like, she saw this script and was like, oh my God, I have to do this movie, and then bailed on Paddington from that. I don't know. But it's not a bad choice because this is going to go down, I think, as certainly one of the great horror movies of 2025. But let's talk specifically more about some of the plot and some of the other things, without spoilers with the plot. But we had a movie earlier this year where grief and trauma was more of a metaphor as something that is specifically dealt with. That was called Woman in the Yard, and that was a horrible movie. I think I gave it a D. And there's been this growing trend of like trauma or grief, sort of presenting themselves in different ways in horror films. Sometimes it's done very well, and sometimes, like Woman in the Yard, it's done poorly. But here, these aren't really metaphors. I mean, we see everything kind of, all the cards are on the table in this movie, and I think it's well written in that regard, that they're not trying to be, cutesy and clever with, this really means this. No, they're really showing their hand with the grief and the trauma aspects of it. But it sort of takes on different forms with the different characters. And, you see that, again, as the story unfolds, not to go into detail there, but each of the characters really has their own specific trauma that we, the audience, sometimes know, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't find out till later. But yeah, the script is really, really clever in how it sort of handles the telling of that information. So loved that. And this is a movie where I actually was cognizant of like the sound effects in a positive way. A lot of horror movies rely on these jump scares. Here, there's not really any jump scare. I mean, maybe one or two, in a natural way, but it's more of like the sound effects of something that's happening. I thought the sound engineers really did a good job on this, as did the makeup crew. I didn't look this up specifically, but I don't think there's a lot of like CGI handling here, at least in terms of the makeup of the characters and whatnot. Like there's bruising here. There's a lot more intense things than that. But I thought the makeup crew did a great job with what they had here as well. So really all around, I mean, everything is firing on all levels. The Philippou brothers, man, if Talk to Me was an A-, this is, I think, even better than that. I am so excited to see the future of these brothers and what they can do in the horror genre. Hopefully continuing with A24, where there seems to not be as much as many like studio notes and as much hand holding. I feel like A24, their movies are so kind of weird and off the beaten path because they let their masters have complete control, with the directing and the writing. I don't know if that's true. I just get that sense after watching, probably 30 or 40 different A24 productions. And I always say this about their movies. Whether they're good or bad, it's always something original and different. And boy, this has that going on all over the place. And boy, these kid actors are great. I'll say that again. So anyway, I leave Bring Her Back with an A. It's one of the best of the year. My only real complaint is I'm not positive that all of it makes sense within what the Sally Hawkins character is trying to do. But again, without spoilers, I can't really go into too much detail about that. But this is one that stuck with me. I thought about this for days after watching it. So yes, I leave Bring Her Back with an A, and that is available now in theaters as of this recording. So thanks for watching Dave Reviews It. I will see you next time.